Under the bright cabin lights of the Boeing 737, the sound of a sharp slap cracked like a gunshot. Every head turned. Conversations died. The low hum of engines and air vents was suddenly the only sound filling the tense silence. 8-year-old Andre Williams sat frozen against the window, his tiny hand pressed to his lip where blood had begun to drip. His beloved Model F-16 fighter jet slipped from his lap, tumbling to the floor, one delicate wing snapping off. Beside him, Richard Keller, a businessman in an expensive gray suit, adjusted his tie as if nothing had happened. His cold, dismissive words carried like poison. "You should learn respect." Across the aisle, Malcolm Johnson rose to his full height, broad-shouldered, steady. His presence carried the unmistakable weight of 25 years in the Air Force. His voice, calm but thunderous, rang across the stunned cabin. "Touch that child again, and it won't be the marshals you'll answer to." Andre's eyes brimmed with tears, though he tried not to let them fall. His mother had told him before boarding, "Be polite, stay quiet, be brave." But bravery was hard when your lips stung, your chest shook, and the gift your father had given you, the model airplane engraved to my flying ace, lay broken at your feet. The tension had been building from the start. Richard had made a show of pulling out hand sanitizer whenever Andre brushed too close. He'd muttered into his phone about being stuck in economy with children, but when turbulence spilled a little apple juice onto his leather briefcase, his patience had snapped. Now the boy sat humiliated, trembling in his seat. Passengers stirred. Phones rose. Across the aisle, Sophia Martinez, an elementary teacher with years of experience protecting children, leaned forward. "That was assault on a child," she said firmly, her teacher's voice cutting through the silence. Further down the aisle, Jasmine, the flight attendant who had welcomed Andre with warmth earlier, returned quickly. Her professional calm was edged with anger now. "Sir, please gather your things. You're being moved." Richard bristled. "Do you know who I am? I don't belong shoved into the back like some." His arrogance was cut short by silence. Dozens of eyes stared, none sympathetic. The only sound was the faint chime of seatbelt signs above. Malcolm stepped closer, planting himself between Richard and the boy. "You okay, little man?" he asked Andre, his eyes still locked on Keller. Andre gave a small nod, though his tears betrayed him. The captain's calm voice came over the intercom. "Due to an onboard incident, we are diverting to Charlotte. Please remain seated. 20 minutes to landing." Groans echoed. Missed connections, delayed schedules, but quickly faded as passengers' eyes returned to Andre's bleeding lip. Whatever inconvenience they faced was nothing compared to what the boy had endured. A college student raised his phone. "I've got it all recorded." An elderly woman spoke up. "My husband traveled 40 years in business, never once struck a child." Sophia passed tissues across the row. Jasmine knelt, gently cleaning Andre's lip. "You're brave, sweetheart," she whispered, her hands steady but her eyes burning. Malcolm crouched to pick up the broken model jet. He studied the snapped wing. "F-16 Fighting Falcon," he murmured, recognition softening his voice. "Your dad give you this?" Andre nodded miserably. "I promised I wouldn't break it." "Not your fault," Malcolm said firmly. "And this can be fixed. Everything can be fixed." The plane touched down in Charlotte. Red and blue lights flashed outside the windows. Uniformed police officers and an air marshal boarded. Dozens of voices erupted, passengers telling the same story, phones held up with evidence. Richard tried to defend himself. "He endangered my property. I simply defended." The marshal cut him off. "Sir, you'll deplane first for questioning. You can walk or be escorted in restraints." Richard's face flushed crimson. He straightened his tie, his briefcase clutched to his chest. As he passed Andre, he leaned down with venom. "This isn't over," he hissed. Malcolm shifted subtly, his body blocking the man's glare. The marshal crouched at Andre's side. "You're not in trouble, buddy. Is someone meeting you in Atlanta?" "My dad," Andre whispered. "David Williams." We'll make sure he's contacted, the marshal promised with a gentle nod. In the Charlotte lounge, Malcolm stayed. He didn't have to, but he couldn't leave the boy alone, not like this. Together, they patched the model airplane with tape from the desk. It wasn't perfect, but Andre managed a small smile at the temporary fix. Hours later, David Williams rushed into the lounge. A tall man with military bearing. His eyes filled with anguish as he saw his son's swollen lip. He dropped to his knees, pulling Andre into a fierce embrace. The boy clung tightly, relief finally spilling out in sobs. When David rose, his eyes met Malcolm's. Something unspoken passed between them, recognition, gratitude, and the silent bond of men who had served. "Thank you," David said hoarsely. Malcolm shook his head. "Did what anyone should." "But not everyone did," David replied, gripping his hand tightly. "Will you sit with us on the next flight?" They reboarded, upgraded to first class. Andre sat sandwiched safely between his father and Malcolm. His body was tense, his eyes darting to each new face walking by. "What if someone else is like that man?" he whispered. "Then you've got me and Mr. Johnson right here," David reassured. "And remember, most people are good. Look how many stood up for you." Malcolm leaned close. "Want to know a secret about flying? It's not just engines. It's 4 forces: lift, thrust, drag, and gravity, all working together." He pointed out the window, naming the ailerons, the flaps. By takeoff, Andre was watching wings instead of replaying the slap. In Atlanta, cameras swarmed. Reporters shouted. Andre clutched his father's hand with one hand and Malcolm's with the other. A microphone pushed close. "Andre, how do you feel about what happened?" The boy lifted his chin, his voice soft but steady. "My airplane broke, but Mr. Malcolm is helping me fix it." Silence rippled. A truth so simple, yet sharper than any headline. Weeks later, a courtroom held the rest. Sophia testified with precise detail. Jasmine, in uniform, spoke with calm authority. The college student presented the clearest video. Malcolm's testimony was measured, unshakable. Andre testified by video link, his small voice steady. "I said sorry. He hit me. It made me bleed and broke my airplane. People helped me. The jury needed only hours. Guilty on all counts. Healing took time." Andre met with a child psychologist. Nightmares faded slowly. His father, once reluctant to discuss race, began the hard talks. "We'll prepare," David promised. "We'll face it together. But we'll also remember, the good outnumber the bad." Malcolm became more than a rescuer, he became family. At school, he gave an assembly talk. Bravery isn't about being the loudest. It's about doing what's right, even when it's scary. Sometimes that means standing up for someone else. Sometimes it means asking for help. Andre raised his hand. "Can people change?" The question hushed the room. "Sometimes," Malcolm answered. "Not always. But consequences and kindness can show a better way." Back home, Andre worked on a poster board for class. My heroes, his parents, his grandfather, and, to Malcolm's surprise, a picture of him. "Heroes aren't just in movies," Andre explained. "They're regular people who do the right thing." On his shelf sat the repaired F-16, the scar visible but stronger than before, just like Andre himself. And that's the lesson this story leaves behind. Standing against hatred isn't about dramatic speeches. It's about courage in the moment, about ordinary people refusing to stay silent. Malcolm didn't hesitate. Sophia spoke up. Jasmine acted. And together, strangers formed a shield around a child who needed them. If stories like this move you, don't let them vanish. Share them, talk about them, and support the people who tell them. Please like, subscribe, and share Inspire now. Your support helps bring light to real stories of courage and resilience, and reminds the world that even in dark moments, humanity can rise.